Alrighty, guys. So for those of you that are in, thank you for being here. So welcome back to another live stream. I wasn't here yesterday, so I apologize about that. So we got a few people in here right now. We're gonna go ahead and wait just a few minutes or a few seconds, shall I say, until we get some other people in here. All right. So give it a few seconds and we can get started. So once again, thank you for being here. Thanks for joining into the live stream. It is Wednesday, September 13th. So hopefully today brings another good day into the market. So again, I wasn't here yesterday, so I wasn't even trading. I missed some of the moves yesterday in the market. So unfortunately, I took the day off, but it's okay. For those of you that are interested, we're going to do something a little bit differently here. We're going to kind of spice things up a bit. So there's actually some cool, interesting news I wanted to bring to you guys. This is specifically for those of you that are joining in, they're interested in Bitcoin, who are already invested or thinking about trading or whatnot. This is kind of specifically aimed towards you. I'm not invested in Bitcoin, but I think there's some things that you maybe should know about it. Recently, there's some news out that North Korea has started figuring out how to mine Bitcoins. So that could bring value to the market or it could be a downside to the market. So that's something I would suggest you guys maybe look into, is that North Korea has found out how to mine Bitcoin and they may start mining Bitcoin. Secondly, there was another news release on some news channels, Bitcoin a little bit more. And Bitcoin, basically they're viewing Bitcoin as disruptive to the economy. Obviously, we already knew that, but governments have not decided, but the best way I can put it is that there is a view and there is a strong belief that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is at some point or one day going to become adopted as a currency or adopted as a peer-to-peer transaction currency, okay? But the governments and many other people feel that Bitcoin is very, very overvalued. And if at one day it does become adopted as a legitimate peer-to-peer transaction currency, then the overall price of it's probably going to rest somewhere about $2,000 and $2,500, which makes sense. Okay, Bitcoin is, in my opinion, is very overvalued, and it was about 2 weeks ago in which I said that Bitcoin is probably going to come to a very big correction towards that price area. And since I said that, the price dropped from 5,000 now at 3,800. So for those of you in Bitcoin, or be very cautious, keep up to date on it, and make sure you do your due diligence. But there's some news for you as far as Bitcoin goes. All right. Within the man in here, James just said in the chat, China in itself is banning Bitcoin. So for those of you invested, be very careful. Okay. All right. So moving on, let's get to the good stuff, which is the stocks. So I'm gonna go ahead and start sharing my screen here. Alrighty, so there's two stocks that I only have on watch, and to be honest with you, I'm not very super stoked about it. And when I say two stocks that I have on watch, I mean these are just two stocks that I went over for potential continuation. I have looked at the pre-market stuff so far as pre-market gappers are going, but then again, it's only 8:45. So those pre-market gappers have much time to move around and things can change pre-market, considering the real action starts at about 9 in the morning, okay? So to all of you, thank you for wishing me to feel better. Yesterday was just a kind of a crappy day. I feel a lot better today. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. So the first one I had on watch was ATOS. ATOS has an 11 million share float, an average volume of 682,000. So it trades at about $682,000 682,000 shares worth of volume. Right now, currently trading at 13.4 million shares of volume. So absolutely crushing it in comparison. So it's trading well above its average volume. And not to mention, it only has an 11 million share float. So when it's trading at 13 million shares of volume, that float can get manipulated very quickly, and we can see price action go up or down very quickly, just depending if the volume is there today as well. Okay, so let's see. So again, ATOS, it's got a low float. There's a lot of volume. We could definitely see some movement today. So specifically, I picked this stock because it was one in which we've seen it kind of hold up going into after hours trading, okay? So this is one where we could see some movement out of the day. It had a ton of volume yesterday. I don't know if it has any recent news. I thought that it did. So it looks like it did have some recent news out there. Doesn't look like anything too crazy. Maybe that they're hosting a conference call for some preliminary results on their phase 1 study of tropical and something. Okay, so this one definitely has some potential, I see, but not the greatest. To be honest, the 2 stocks that I have on watch, I'm not very fond of. It's not that day where we found Cura and NLNK and whatnot. But as always, let's look a little bit deeper into this stock. So ATOS, I already have a trend line drawn. Ideally, if we can break above 83 cents, that would be nice. But I feel that if this stock does have a lot of volume today, we could very well see a good entry, possibly around 81 cents. Maybe see something around 81 cents. But again, it's going to have to hold up within this kind of area right here. If we see any break below this upward trend line support that I drew, it's probably not going to be the greatest play today. So it has to trade within this channel. Hopefully when pre-market kicks in at about 9, we can see some price action. Start heading from here to here in this direction, and then we can get a break above 82, 81 cents to potentially go long. Now that's the 1-minute chart. All right, if we look at, just the daily chart, we have room to run up until about $1.43 before we have our first sign of resistance. So that's going to be a huge profit potential area if it does move that far. Not going to say it's going to, but the first moving average resistance is quite far away. So we definitely have some potential to run there. So we're definitely looking good. As far as ATOS goes. Now, again, I said not my favorite go-to ones, but we still have some potential on here. And to James, we can definitely take a look at SDRL. It wasn't looking super amazing to me earlier, but obviously things can change. Next one I had on watch was BW. So you guys, a lot of you are probably familiar with BW at this point. The reason that BW interests me is because it had, let me zoom in here. BW had a nice day. 1 second, actually. Change something around here. Okay, so the reason I like BW is this nice day it's seen yesterday where it just kept grinding higher. Okay, so this stock, at no point in yesterday's trading did it see any real sell-off. And it went straight up into after hours trading. So it looks good. It's holding its highs. This is one that we've seen have great moves intraday before. So we know that it has that potential to do so today. Again, we kind of want to see a break over the 290 area. But, that leads me to believe that we could very well run into $3 resistance, which is right after that. So there's a few things I want to spot out here, okay? Let me go back into this chart. So since I've been stock trading, there's kind of been this saying, hey, Rob, and everybody in here, thank you very much. No, I appreciate your guys' support, and I love doing this. This is exactly what I'll be doing probably for the rest of my life. So, again, there's no issue when it comes to me doing this. So I want to kind of spit this out there. There's been a saying, and basically my dad taught me this a long time ago. He's pretty knowledgeable when it comes to stocks. He doesn't trade penny stocks. He trades higher cap stocks, but he's pretty successful as well. But he mentioned to me a long time ago, basically when I first started getting into trading, that he followed a guy, you could basically call him a mentor or someone he followed when it comes to trading stocks. And my dad told me that, Connor, when you're looking at a stock, if you see an outrageously high spike in volume, and he got this from another gentleman that traded stocks for a long time. Whenever you're in the market and you see an outrageously high spike in volume, that usually signals that there's going to be some type of upward price action. Now, I know that there's more to it than that, but that was the thing, that this gentleman strictly went off a lot of his trading based on stocks that started to see an outrageously high spike in volume out of nowhere. He said that 90% of the time when he traded that way, he was successful because if there's a really, really high spike in volume, there's some type of underlying factor that's moving that volume upwards, whether it's news or it's somebody in the market knows something you don't. There could be something there. So I just want to point out, if you look at BW all day, look at its volume. So if you look down here in BW's volume, look at the volume. Not a ton, not a ton, not a ton. Right at the end of the day, look at this volume surge. Okay, you see this one bar here? Let me zoom in some more. Right at the end of the day, there was this big spike in volume. It's not a ton of volume, but if you're comparing it to the overall volume of the stock all day long, there was this huge spike in volume, which raises me, to me, it raises some flags. It makes me very curious as to why all of a sudden at the end of the day do we get this huge spike in volume on BW, and yet there was really no price action going up or down. So that it raises some questions and some interest to me in conjunction with the stock chart. Okay, so looking at BW a little bit further, we recently peaked out right around 295 here. So again, like I said, if we can get a break over that 290, 295 area, this could be a potentially good play for today. And then I would look for a break over $3. That's what I'm hoping to see on BW. Okay. So those are really the only two stocks that I have. Yeah, so Cameron, towards the end of the video, I will definitely give you some more information on TechBuds and what it is we do. So, you know, this here is my own channel that I basically run, but I am also a partner with TechBuds. So I use my channel. We promote TechBuds solutions as a whole, and that's kind of what we do. But I'll give you some more information towards the end there. Is there any way to find out? So Nunya Business, insider buying. There is sites, different sites you can look up. There you can find the amount of the amount of shares that are held by A, institutions, and B, by the amount of people that are associated with the company. So there is a way to do it. But let me put it this way. When you're trading stocks, you look at the float, okay? Oh, and I forgot to go over that. Sorry. So the float on BW is 48 million. The average volume is 2.4 million. Right now it's trading at a volume of 2.5 million. So the average volume and current volume are very similar. They're right in contrast, very closely related. So there's nothing special there. But again, we could see this pickup in volume today. But let me go over that too as well. So to the gentleman there, and for you guys asking about float, I'm going to make a video on it. But for those of you in right now, let's try and clear that up very quickly. Okay. Let me actually go back. I think it'll be more personal if we look at my face here. Okay, so for those of you wondering what float is, I'm going to break it down very quickly for you. So when I say float, or we're talking about float, okay, float does not include the amount of insider people, you know, private institutions and stuff like that, insider people holding the stock. So if I own the company, you know, and my partners, we all have a share in the company, those shares are not available to be traded on the public market. So let me put it this way. When, for example, let's say I started a business, okay, whatever that business may be. Today, my company goes public on the stock market. So we use Nike, for example. The day that Nike became a publicly traded company, so on its IPO date, IPO being initial public offering, they're offering shares of the stock or the company to the public to purchase. On that day, when that IPO becomes available and they have the initial public offering of shares of that company to the open public, okay, that is what the float is. So if Nike releases 1 million shares to purchase of their company on its IPO date, that means there's a 1 million share float. That's the amount of shares that are available to buy or that the public is allowed to buy, and that becomes the float. As more people buy the shares, that float becomes less. Okay, so it's the same thing that happens with price gouging essentially. When there's a limited quantity of a product, so during these hurricanes, people needed water. And when there was less water to go around, stores started increasing the price because they can make that money. There's a certain demand for that water, so they have the option to increase that price and be assholes and treat people like shit and price gouge them. They can do that. It is technically illegal at some point. But when the demand is so high, but the availability is so low, that allows the float to move quickly. So when I say we look for low float, we want to see stocks that have low float. For example, like ATOS has an 11 million share float. That's a very low float. So if volume picks up and next thing you know, we're trading at 10 million shares of volume in that day, that means we've almost traded the whole float that's available to trade within one trading day, okay? So float, long story short, is the amount of shares that are on the open market that are available for purchase. So when you take a float, so you got float here and you take your volume, if your float and your volume are pretty close, where you have 10 million shares of float and you're trading 10 million shares of volume in that day, chances are you're going to see a lot of price fluctuation because the demand is so high and the quantity is so low. Supply and demand. It's simple economics when it comes to supply and demand just in the stock market. All right. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen, and that was my little thing for you guys on float. All right. So now let's go ahead and take a look at some stocks. I know you guys have been mentioning cool fedora, bro. So let's see what we got here. And the float shrinks, the stock price is rising. Yeah, so essentially when the float goes down, the stock price can go up or down. It depends on if people are shorting or buying, okay? So one that Daniel's been shouting out a lot is AEMD. Let's see. Okay, so AEMD is not one that I particularly am very interested in, and I'm sure that many of you guys that tune into me, you know exactly why I would say this. I mean, and is there some news? Let me see if there's some news. Hold on. So is there news? Yeah, there was a bunch of news on it yesterday. That's probably why it gapped up in the market. Then it's seen a little price jump early in the morning. But as you can see, the price since yesterday, I mean, if you look at this, guys, the price since yesterday, let me close this out. Price since yesterday has basically just declined. It peaked out 385 and now it's just dropped. Okay, so technically this thing is on a very low downtrend, and I don't see that it's really going to have much action today. It very well could have some action, but it has to break above this downward trend line pre-market and start showing some upward signs of momentum, or else this thing's really not going to be in play today, and it might just kind of rally sideways or start fizzling down. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, so there's been some mentions. Let me just run through pre-market so I can just look quicker. So you got a lot of people are mentioning out stocks that are within the pre-market. So we'll just go through them. Like I said earlier, pre-market didn't really look very good to me. Let's see. Victor. Hey, what's up, my man? I'm glad to see you in here, and thanks for calling my head a nice fedora. It does look good. All right, so ALDX. Okay, so here we go. This actually looks kind of good now. So earlier when I looked at ALDX didn't look super exciting just because, you know, this is primarily where the price was at. The price was right in this area, okay? When I looked at it originally, this is what it looked like. Okay, it looked very choppy and nothing was really happening. So to me, it did not look very good. And this is what happens. Usually when I start my stream, things turn around a little bit differently as pre-market starts to really kick in. So essentially this was downtrending like this, okay? But now it's broken that downtrend and now it's picked up in volume a little bit and now we're heading this way. So now you see that we've changed directions. We were going down, now we're going up, okay? So this is actually starting to look kind of promising. A good entry on this is probably going to be, here's the idea, is that if it continues in this direction, we could see a pop to test the high of $7. But if we can break through $7, we'll probably have a good entry point. And then we have a 30-cent profit potential up to $7.30. So up to $7.30. After $7, we have profit for 30 cents a share up to $7. So I would definitely keep ALDX on watch. This is one of the ones that's starting to perform a little bit better as far as pre-market goes. So I definitely keep ALDX on watch as far as right now. Let's see. There's another one. So another one we had pre-market is SNAK. When I looked at this, it didn't look very great. I mean, so when you look at this, right? So this stock did gap up, but look at the volume. It's very choppy. It's not trading on very high volume, which sometimes is okay, but it's not giving us any clear sort of chart setup, okay? We're going up, then we're going down, we're kind of jumping all over the place, okay? So it's kind of ugly looking. There's really no significant news on it this morning. But there was some news yesterday, and that's probably why it gapped up after hours. So again, you can keep this on watch. I am actually personally more interested in ALDX right now, and I'm going to keep the other ones I had on mentioned on some back burners just to hold them there. SDRL. So we'll take a look at SDRL. SDRL was another one that people were shouting out and mentioning. So yeah, SDRL yesterday, I mean, right in the morning had like I think it was like a 20% move right in the morning. Yeah, 25%, 24% move early in the morning. Gapped up really high, 32, 33 cents after market, and then it dropped back down. So this it could be in play today. I'm not going to say that it's not going to be in play today. It could. Yeah, I can see this being in play. The idea here for SRDL is we want to see it get squeezed into this triangled corner right here, and then we want to get a pop above maybe 25 cents, 25-cent resistance. From there, we might go to try and test the high of 32, 33 cents, and that alone, you're going to get maybe a 20% profit potential area. So SDRL isn't my go-to. It doesn't look very good, the chart setup, but there is people that do like it. If it has enough volume, you could trade it, but it's not my particular go-to one. I've never had success with Seadrill. I wouldn't recommend it to. Most of these companies are very bad. So again, be very careful on what you choose to trade. And just like others are mentioned in there, SRDL, 359 flow, garbage day trade, exactly. So stocks like this are it's kind of like a DCTH stock. It can give you some and it can take some very easily. So I would just be very cautious if you try and trade it. It's not one of the ones I'm going to particularly aim at trading. Like I said, I have ATOS on watch and BW. I feel that those have some potential today, and I'm just going to go ahead and watch them. Order pre-market. June's, I hardly ever place orders pre-market. I usually place them right in the beginning of the day at market open. Now let's see. We have BIOA. BIOA was mentioned. I did look at this one earlier. Okay, so this is starting to perform pretty well. Let's see. So BIOA, it is showing some pretty good upward momentum. We do have that. The only question I have is what does the float look like? So let's see float on this guy. So BIOA, it has a pretty high float, got a float of about 45 million. So it is a little bit higher. Do I think this is going to be a great day trade? Nah, maybe it could be. I still am not super fond of it. Next thing to check is, do we have any news on it? There is really no news on the stock this morning, so I don't really know what's driving the price up. Probably just simple technicals. So again, you could keep it on watch. It does actually look pretty strong right now. I just don't know how I feel about the float and the volume it's trading. So if this is going to have any type of quick price movement, it's got to have a lot more volume. We're going to need a lot more volume. So Victor's got BXVX. Yep. So again, you could watch BIOA, but you need a lot more volume to push that 48 million share float there. Oh man. So I'm gonna go ahead. And so for those of you that are tuning in here, I just want to give a shout out to a gentleman in here. So if at any point you guys see any information coming in from the gentleman that goes by the name of Victor New, he basically he's a pretty damn good trader, and he knows what he's talking about. So any of the stuff that he mentions within the chat, he is a very credible guy, and I would say that any of the stuff that he mentions within the chat, take some of that information and run with it. I'm not the only informative trader here. The gentleman there, Victor New, is pretty damn good at what he does when it comes to trading. So if you want to go ahead and listen into some of the stuff he's shouting out in the chat, I would highly recommend it. The gentleman, he knows what he's doing. So definitely keep an eye on some of the stuff he mentions out in here. So again, we'll hop in pre-market here. And I would just like to mention, today for me doesn't look amazing. Like I said, either way, what we do every day is we try to bring the best stocks and see what we can make up a game plan for them, or at least give you guys some type of game plan. So Cody, Bernier, so far the watch list really was ATOS, and BW is what I kind of had on watch there. And so far we've kind of ran over some pre-market ones, and really we've kind of taken a look at ALDX, and there's a few that we still have to look over, but we're kind of just going over some pre-market ones. But really the ones we had on watch so far, strongly recommended, were probably ATOS, BW, and ALDX. Now let's just take a look at BVXV, because that's in the pre-market. BVXV. Okay, so BVXV obviously trades on pretty low volume. This isn't something I'm going to particularly go into trading, just because it wouldn't move quick for a day trade. But swing trading, it's a possibility. I don't know. I'd have to analyze it more. Also, I'm going to shout this one out there. Like I said, I don't do a ton of swing trading, but sometimes I feel like I've come across something good. Victor, you can mention, if you're still in here, you can shout this one out or give me some feedback on here. So this is one that I just happened to come across when I was analyzing some stocks. Was it this one, GV? Yeah, it was GV. Was it 3-year week chart I was on? Huh. Oh, yeah. So if you look at this daily chart, there's a huge bullish engulfing candle. So if you guys look at this one, there's a huge bullish engulfing candle on GV on the daily. So this could be signaling a trend change where we're going to be going, it's already been trending up, but this could be signaling some nice upward momentum because of the huge bullish engulfing candle. Victor, I know that you're pretty good when it comes to stuff, so maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. But again, GV looks like it could be one that's a potential swing trade just because of a candlestick pattern found on the daily chart. All right. So let's go ahead and just look at a few here. Let's just kind of overview some. So ATOS was the one I had on watch. Not performing the way I would expect or hope for. BW, let's take a look here. So BW is still holding up. It's basically doing just that. It's doing what I hope for. We have now broken through after hours high, and we're heading towards that 295. So I'm definitely going to keep BW on watch. It's so far looking good. We had that out of nowhere huge volume spike right at the end of the day. That could be an underlying factor signaling some type of good price movement we may see. Gotcha. Float high did not move much, but fine. Yeah. So let's go ahead. Someone said BCRX was moving. Okay, so BCRX is moving. I got a lot of drawings on here. I got to clear some of this up. So BCRX, I don't really like the daily chart. Right now it's sitting, let's see, 550. It's sitting at 559. 550. So it's coming very close. It's literally about to hit 560s, 566. So BCRX is going to have some strong resistance, most likely right around the 560, 565 area. So I'm not very fond about it. You can try and trade it. The only way I would probably trade BCRX is if it breaks 565, and I would probably take my position somewhere around 566, 567. That would be right above the 200 moving average. Next thing I have to check is if it has news, and it's moving right now. Okay, so it looks like it has some news out this morning. BioCryst Pharmaceuticals prices 15.3 million share offering at $5.15 a share. BioCryst price stock offering at a 1.5% discount. So there is definitely some news this morning. You can keep this one on watch. For me, though, I got to get in probably above like 565. It'd have to be 566, 567. ATOS, we did go over ATOS. ATOS is one that just doesn't look like it's performing right now very well. But we can wait and see. Back to BW. Let's take a quick look here. BW. BW is still holding up just as I had hoped, so that's good. BCRX is starting to move. You can keep that one on watch. TEVA, again, is a higher price stock. It's been good. It really has. It's made a lot of. It's basically within the past 3 days, it's gone from 14.75, 14-ish, all the way to almost basically $20. So it's made some really big moves recently. So like we've seen, it may be due for a red day. So let's be kind of cautious about it. TUM is up. TUM is one that we did see pre-market. There's a lot of them that it's just kind of hard to watch right now. TUM, I think, had some news recently. No, not really. Nothing crazy. I don't think TEUM has quite the volume, but you could keep it on watch. You could definitely keep that one on watch. So, again, let's see. Again, that's probably where we'll end it for now. There was a lot of stuff that, a lot of stock kind of jumping around today. So again, there was quite a lot of stocks jumping around pre-market. Again, I think I'll watch BCRX for over 565. I'm definitely gonna watch BW. BW is one that I definitely think we could see movement on if it holds up. ATOS doesn't look so good anymore. And like I said, sometimes pre-market and these little watch lists don't give us what we want, and that's simply why I use the momentum scanner. Like the other day, FALC was one of those big like 100% runners that we didn't mention during the live stream, and that's because it basically came out of nowhere. There was really nothing. There was no news. There was nothing really crazy about FALC that would signal us that it's going to move. There was no pre-market action. It just basically came out of nowhere, okay? And that's one in which you use a momentum scanner to find. And if you don't have one of those, I have a video on it. Just look up momentum scanner counter polifrone, and you'll probably find it right away. You can go ahead and set it up the way I have. You can tweak it a little bit to see what works best for you. But the way I have it set up, it pretty much finds what I need to find. Like I said, I find a lot of the same stocks that Ross Cameron from Warrior Trading finds. He's a very well-known stock trader. He's really good at what he does, obviously, and he tends to find really good stocks. And the scanners I use tend to find usually about the same exact stocks. So once again, thank you guys for tuning in. Now, when it comes to TechBud Solutions, so for a lot of you guys already know what it is, what we do. For the gentleman that wanted to know more about it, so TechBud Solutions is basically a free networking group, right? So we have over 45,000 members, and that's nationwide. How many of them are active every single day? That's unknown, but it is a huge group to be a part of. Tons of beginner investors, tons of experienced investors, so you have the opportunity to get some of your questions answered very quickly as soon as it gets out there. So We have a Facebook group. The link is going to be in the description of this video below. We also have a Discord chat room that you can be a part of. The link is also in the description below. And the cool thing about our Discord chat room through TechBuds is that we have a live talk channel. So after this, I will hop onto TechBuds, and then we'll go right into the TechBuds live voice channel, where throughout the day we are talking about stocks that are running. So if you guys don't have scanner set up, or you're looking at something else and you don't know what to play, we'll be mentioning out stocks that are running in real time. And we're basically, that's all we do, is we shout out stocks that are going. We answer questions that anybody has. So that's just another way of getting in touch with me, Ricky, and a few other members of TechBuds, is through that live voice channel. And then soon we are taking TechBuds Solutions to a new platform. We're going to be moving from Facebook because Facebook doesn't necessarily meet the characteristics that we need for a platform all in one. A lot of information gets thrown into the Facebook group, and it kind of gets pushed on the line. So some people's questions don't get answered. So we're moving to a platform, which will be a website. And from there, we're kind of growing. We have a lot of new things that we plan on implementing with TechBuds, as far as, chat rooms go, as far as stock alert watch lists go. So there's a lot that we're trying to do. And obviously it's in the startup stages. So, we're running a beta trial on the platform. So there's a lot of stuff going on with TechBuds. But as for now, the link to the Facebook group is down below. The link to the stock chat room through Discord is down below. So I recommend going ahead and joining in there. So that's basically all I got for you today. As always, so thank you for tuning in. I will see you tomorrow. And hopefully we have more to go over tomorrow. If not, it is what it is, and that's the way the market treats us sometimes. So again, thank you guys for joining, and I'll see you tomorrow.